Lawmakers reconvened for plenary focused on one agenda, the screening of Professor Joash Amupitan, who was barely 1 week ago appointed by President Bola Tinubu and endorsed by the Council of State as chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
To conduct the confirmation hearing.
The Senate relaxed its rules to admit his immediate family members as well as officials from INEC. In his opening remarks, the 58-year-old professor of law, who is the first INEC chair from the North Central region, gave a brief overview of his background.
My formative years were nurtured in the environment, a nurturing environment of my early primary school at Baptist Primary School, Electoral. Three things have always influenced my life. Number one, God. Number two, hard work. And number three, mentorship.
Immediately after, an extensive screening session began.
I want to ask, with your wealth of experience, can you share with us what accountability mechanisms that you will expand or introduce into our electoral process?
That came up in the last election was the issue of beavers and IREF platform, which were game changers. Given your understanding of the terrain, how do you intend to ensure these technologies function optimally?
IREF was supposed to provide some guarantees and checks and balances. But owing to the issues of glitches, which in simple time I understand as improper configuration, I have to audit the system if I'm given the opportunity to see what is actually wrong and whether we have what it takes as it is now. Because it is not just the INEC responsibility alone. You have the other agencies like NCC, NIMC, and the service providers.
Promising to rebuild trust and safeguard the integrity and independence of the electoral process, he asserts that the deployment of technology, including drones, will be prioritized as a central strategy.
We can also invest more on logistics to ensure that every part of Nigeria we can penetrate. Even if we have to use drones.
On tackling electoral malpractice, especially among returning officers, the professor proposed the creation of an internal oversight system.
With the National Assembly, because there will be need for some legislative intervention in some cases. There is a need for an electoral offences commission that will be able to investigate. INEC does not really have the capacity presently. We can introduce a whistleblowing policy too that will enable people to detect and expose such practices.
He also addressed the protracted issue of conducting local government elections.
One of the concerns is that is it not going to add another burden on INEC? So we will look at it, and it's not something that I may be able to provide an answer for.
Again, he addresses the question of whether or not he was part of the President Tinubu's legal team in the 2023 elections.
I did not appear in the Presidential Election Tribunal and at the Supreme Court.
So you never represented Peter Obi or PDP?
I was not part of it.
Okay,
I was not part of it.
After over 2 hours of screening, one lawmaker raised a motion which threw the chamber into a rowdy session.
The nominee have done justice to almost all the questions asked him in these hallowed chambers. With the permission of Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, if the nominee could be allowed
to answer these questions and then take a bow and take the leave of the Senate.
Sir, you have to rule this motion. To ask question. You gave the direction, Mr. President. You gave the direction, Mr. President. You should ask questions.
Yes.
Let's do 2 minutes.
The motion is then put into a voice vote.
Now, those in support that he be allowed to answer the few questions that are still pending, and thereafter take a bow and go. Say aye. Those against that he be allowed to answer the few questions already asked and take a bow and go. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Professor Amupitan, a senior advocate of Nigeria who succeeds Professor Mahmood Yakubu, subsequently takes a bow and leaves. Without further delay, the Senate confirms his appointment as the 6th substantive chairman of INEC.